be more facetious, but we're going to reap what this has to sow.
You know, the numbers that you gave us for the incarceration for marijuana, and you know, we can argue about what happened with Afghanistan, what happened with Iraq. You know, is Iran a danger to us? But what danger is there of a guy walking out in his backyard, rolling a joint, and going in his house, watching, turning on some music or television, and smoking it? Why would we put 1 in every 31 Americans, according to former Treasury Secretary, 1 in every 31 Americans is in prison, on parole, or on probation right now?
Four times the per capita incarceration rate of any country in the developed world.
And that includes Red China. That includes Red China.
On a per capita basis, more incarcerated in this country than Zimbabwe, than Cuba. That's just we've consented to have this happen ourselves. We're responsible for this, but we're also responsible, or we also have the opportunity here to turn this around by voting in officials that will turn this around. And that's my optimism right now with the upcoming election and with the elections to follow, that we might actually elect individuals that won't be concerned with getting reelected, but be concerned with turning these policies around, turning this country back to what it's always been, which is personal liberty, personal freedoms, and of course, the responsibility that goes along with that.
The problem that I'm seeing here, Gary, I was involved in presidential candidates. I had a presidential candidate by the name of Charles Collins. He spoke there in New Mexico, and I was his driver, his bodyguard, speechwriter, and friend for many years still. And he was trying to tell us, the Republicans, that we could buy back the Federal Reserve. And Gary, every time he got up to speak at a Republican convention, every cameraman on stage turned their cameras off and pointed them at the ground. Ron Paul had very, very similar. And you spoke. I mean, I was there. I heard you speak at the Ron Paul Revolution event over there in Minneapolis, across from St. Paul, across from the Republican convention in St. Paul. And how if we can't see these people and we can't hear the people that want to restore our republic, what are our chances here? How are we going to vote for somebody if we don't know they're even running?
Well, I think you hit on the head the uphill battle that this is. But you know, Clay, I just think that right now there's an awareness in this country that has never existed before among people, and I'm just optimistic that that awareness translates into people being elected into office that will actually go and do the right thing. And that right thing would be to right the financial ship, to actually slash government spending and look to reducing taxes across the board, because reduced taxes are really what grows economies. We need jobs in this country. Our policies are making jobs flow out of this country.
That's right, and that's what happened with the hemp plant. Gary, the hemp plant was a staple of America for years. I mean, the stacks of hemp in the fields were humongous, and we used the hemp to build sails and the ropes that allowed our ships to cross the ocean. Ooh, we didn't even have to buy gasoline for them. And they were taken from us. Now, if we restored our country, if we allowed farmers to grow hemp again, and we could each one of these little towns could have a private hemp industry. I mean, they were making our cloth out of it. Our Constitution was written on hemp.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I think that the example of hemp carries over into other areas also. That we're exporting our technologies, exporting science, exporting those entrepreneurs that would start up those companies and lead us into the future with millions of new jobs associated with those technologies, sciences. You talk about the hemp industry, you talk about those mainline industries that would be here in this country as opposed to elsewhere. It's government policy that has dictated this huge loss of jobs, this huge uncertainty that has been created in this country that prevents entrepreneurs from wanting to conduct business here in this country. They're going elsewhere. It's more favorable elsewhere.
Gary, I came up with a plan years ago when you stopped by my office here, when you stopped by my house. I had plans for turning that little piece of property there in Bingham, New Mexico, into something called Liberty Villages, and that was taking low-cost housing, teepees, yurts, trailers, cabins, putting them up, and having people work together to restore the self-sufficient family farm. Now, during the last Depression, over 30% of Americans lived on farms or ranches. So we were able to feed ourselves. Today, we've got 2%, and looks like we've got the ninth plank on the Communist Manifesto in full swing here. It's called corporate farms. And suddenly there all types of laws started popping up, like Senate Bill I think it's 310, about a home garden, the Food Safety Act. Suddenly, and the National Animal Identification System. Oh, if you've got chickens, if you're raising chickens, you need to put a chip in them and report to the government if they cross the street. This again seems to be a direct attack on the family farm, or the whole concept of being independent, growing our own food, and why can't we provide our own energy from what God gave us? All we have to do is put a wind generator on everybody's house. And I believe they did that. Brad Pitt did that in a neighborhood in New Orleans, and so the people are living down there and actually making money off of their homes rather than paying out on it. What about that, Gary? How does that fit in with our America's mission statement?
Well, it perfectly fits in. I mean, when you look at, you point out to New Orleans. New Orleans has more entrepreneur activity in it than any place else in the United States, and it's because people, in their desperation to find ways to cope with a bad situation, have realized that they can count on themselves to actually get themselves up and doing better. By looking to themselves to provide goods and services for other people. I think that we've